Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. I cannot wait for this conversation and to
Oh,
share
me
it
too.
with everyone because as you and I were talking before recording, we are surprised by the lack of content out there for mom entrepreneurs. And so I want this conversation to be something you wish you would have found when you were looking for content for yourself and to spread the message to the women that you help. And so yeah, thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. And you and I were talking about me like naively Googling mom entrepreneur. I bet I could find some really cool content and I could share it with other
Yeah.
moms. And that is how
Yeah.
I found you and mostly only you. So
Oh, well, I'm thrilled to connect. I'm thrilled the work that we're doing is putting us at the top of the few mom entrepreneur
yes.
content creators out there. Before we dive into your amazing frameworks and books, tell us about the Female Maverick and what you're doing now to help
Okay,
women
so
entrepreneurs.
this is my third business and the first one I've ever had that's mission based.
Hmm.
It is so strange to me not to be maximizing how much money I can make at any given second. It's been this massive transition for me. So this is super mission based. Our goal is I have a wonderful partner, Victoria, and our goal is 10,000 women with seven-figure businesses. And we did it. We did it twice, but I think I feel it so deeply in my heart because number one, we can do it, right? There's lots of reasons that make us as women and us as moms great entrepreneurs. And second, in doing that, we really change our families' lives. We
Mm.
we change the house we live in, we change the vacations we
Yeah.
go in, we change the
Mhm.
financial stability. My kids didn't have to take out student loans. I mean, all those things that are really underpinnings of adult life we're able to shift. And I mean, that's just super powerful. I want it for everyone else. And Victoria and I will both share whatever we can to help that mission.
Yeah, it's really incredible when you're able to do those things because I've seen those changes in my own life and it's just like you just want to scream from the mountains like it's
Right.
possible here, come follow
You
me.
can do this. You
Right. And
can do
that's
this. Yeah.
yeah, and one I have to say one of the things that I really found interesting and really resonated with me about the logo for the female Maverick is that it's a doorway. I love that.
I
And it's
mean, thank you for being like one of, you know, so few that have seen it. I mean, that was really, we did that with such intentionality. We
yeah.
just said, like, you know, that, you know, when you psyched yourself out of something and you think you can't do it,
Uh-huh.
you know, if you just take that one step, you're through the door and
Uh-huh.
you're on that path.
Yeah.
That was what that image was all about. We wanted our designer to build it to just think, if you could just think
Yeah.
about just like pushing that door open, so
Yeah.
much awaits you when you do. So thank you for
Right.
noticing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, doing this podcast, I see myself as at the doorway saying, come here, come on,
Yep.
this way.
Just like take a step, just one step. I got you
Right.
when you're in there. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So tell me what you do inside the female maverick.
So really what we're doing is we create content, which is mostly free.
Mm-hmm.
And the content we create is very specific around mindset
Mm-hmm.
and then very much how to's on how to launch and scale. And we hope exit your business.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a newsletter called Founders File, which is free and will always be free. And it's got great content. This week's includes a discussion of building your own kitchen cabinet, which I think is so much different than networking, which we can get into. So we've got the Founders File. We also have a course, which is literally whatever the dollar amount it costs is tiny. We're just covering the costs of it. And that course is much, I think it's really for women who are at the idea stage and need to launch. And then third, and you know, the most exciting thing for me is our book will come out, we hope in September. John Wiley is publishing it, and it's called Entrepreneur Like a Mother. And if you go onto our website now, you can put yourself on a wait list for it and it'll be available for pre-order. Our
Yeah.
goal was in every content for whatever you can afford to be able to get access to I think it's very prescriptive stuff on how to do it. But it's also, I mean, we tell stories. Some ridiculous things happen and we struggled on a constant basis with our kids in the nurse's office. But, we are in the middle of a board meeting. What do we do? And we are so honest in there about when we messed up and how we felt. And there's, of course, this happy ending that our kids still like us. If I've ruined the book for you that none of our kids are in jail, they are not.
Well, I just love that we have women like you creating content for entrepreneurs that will resonate with other moms and women. I mean, it's just so necessary. Time and time again, I've had over 200 guests on the podcast, and how many times they've said, it just didn't click with me. It didn't resonate with me, what I was seeing. So I needed to create what I wanted to see. So I love that. And we're going to get into what you call the Mommy Mayhem Matrix. But before we do, I want to ask you a question about why do you think that masculine hustle culture doesn't seem to work for us?
I think about it so much because the very first step in Victoria and I thinking about did we even want to bother creating content, right? Was reading everything out there. And this is actually what spurred the whole thing on. And it's a very, very popular podcast from a big social media guy. He and his partner talked about the topic attracted me. It said building a 7-figure business. I was like, awesome. I kind of want to, I've done it twice. I kind of want to hear what this guy said. I turned it on and he's a lovely guy, but it was so not relatable. Number one, his best advice was find 10 clients that pay you $100,000 a year. And then he built off that. And I thought, like, what? I did that. That is so hard. That is the crux of it, for one. And number two, the tone, which is the tone of so much of it, is if you work 24/7 and you get bad enough, you're in your parents' basement, you're eating ramen noodles, all that is how you become an entrepreneur. And thank God that I saw that content after I had done it. Because if I had seen it before I would have done it, I would have thought, well, I have a kid. I guess that path isn't open for me. So, I think I think even though today we've crossed over in the US and more women are building businesses than men, I think that bro culture that comes from less than 2% of venture funding going to women what is driving social media, because we all want to, put out our story that says, I just got an angel round of $500,000 or whatever the numbers are. I think because funding sources, because we aren't so attractive to venture and even angels, that those that are, I've talked to reporters who say, look, we can't cover blooming new business stories until they've raised some money. Well, so if they can't do it till they raise money and only 2% of fundraising is for women, that we're never getting out of this without some big disruptive moment. Like it actually went down in 2025. So now it's 2.3 or something going up. That's where the culture is. And I think we read that as women. And if it's the only thing we see, that breaks my heart, because just Victoria and I know many, many, many women have been able to do it. Not always perfectly, but we've done it and they're still around.
Well, if somebody is listening to this and going, okay, great. So hustle culture isn't working for me, but what do I do instead? I think the Mommy Mayhem Matrix can be a really good framework to analyze either what you want to start or where things might not be serving you.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great way to describe it. So the thinking there is, if we go to business school or we talk to people who've been successful, the first thing they do is say, build out your addressable market. So investment at a TAM, a total addressable market. So you're thinking about your business idea and you're trying to figure out, could I make it big enough that it crosses 7 figures and I could really start making some money off of it? And that is a really like textbook intellectual exercise. And we go through in the book how we would calculate TAM. And if it's, every banker says if it's up and to the right, then that's good because that means it's growing. Okay. And that is the first most important exercise to do. But the second one is a much more personal one. We call it the Mommy Mayhem Matrix. We have stolen it from Gartner. And Gartner has a magic quadrant of when they think a product will work. And the up and to the right is the highest profit, highest investment, and then that's the opposite. So we have the Mommy Mayhem Matrix where we say, look, if you want the absolute highest return for your idea and you are willing to accept the most mayhem in your life where you do not feel like you have control of your personal life, you are not the primary caregiver of your kids, et cetera, and you're willing to give that up for a few years. And by the way, that's your choice. And I'm not judging it. That is like that up and to the right. That's probably where you're going to make the most money. You're going to raise some money and you're going to be very beholden, fairly, because these guys invested, to your angel or venture investors. That's only one point on the matrix. And the way social media and even what's out there in books tell us, that is the only way to achieve success as an entrepreneur. Our matrix shows that you can toggle that down and you can do exactly what we did, which is, okay, we're not going to be willing to have total mayhem in our house. We wrote down our personal non-negotiables. Victoria's is so amazing and she met it most days, which is if she's in town, she's going to make the 4:45 train and pick up her kids. And by God, she did it. And then she got back on at 8:30 and worked till 8:30 the next morning. She did it, but that was her personal non-negotiable. Mine, because my kids were a little bit older, is I was not going to miss trips and activities that were super important to them that I talked to them about to figure out what was super important. So that was our personal. And then we had a financial non-negotiable. And our financial non-negotiable, we decided, was that we would not take on debt that we couldn't cover. So, and we wouldn't take on investment we couldn't cover with our assets, which could have gone down to nothing. And so because of that, in the end, we did not go for, nor do I believe we would have attracted in the second business, growth capital. And so we bootstrapped with the idea that we thought we could make an above average return with some financial pain from bootstrapping. But we were still in that top right quadrant. We just weren't at the very tip of it. We were at the opposite side of it. And I think we knowingly made the decision that we weren't going to be perfect. We weren't all the way in the left quadrant where we were there for everything for our kids. We knew what we were giving up. But then we had these personal and financial non-negotiables that we never broke. And I think that whole exercise, which we go through in the book, that whole exercise is about making sure that you are very thoughtful on what you hope and want your life to be as a mom. And you know that you're going to give up some things, but you have already accepted a few things that you will not give up. And you do the same thing financially. The funny thing about all that is that we bootstrapped and it was painful. Victoria took out a loan against her 401k, which she will be the first one to say was a terrible idea, but it worked out. I put payroll at least once, maybe twice on my credit card. I mean, these are, we took real risks in bootstrapping, but we stuck pretty true to our personal non-negotiables. And I think it allowed us to A, be the moms we wanted to be. And I think B, it took some stress off the table because when an option came, which it did, we had an option for growth capital. We asked the very specific questions on how fast they wanted to grow and what they thought we could do. And it was so simple to turn that down, even though it's so crazy saying that. It was simple to turn it down because we had a personal and financial non-negotiable. We're going to have to break both those. And we thought, no, we're going to do it our way. Now that I look back on it, I'm cracking up at the number they offered us and how we both were like, no, thank you. But I mean, it's because, but I mean, the two things I also take away from that are I talked to a mom who said, look, I am willing to be in that top right side of the matrix for 2 or 3 years, and I'm going to go for it. I think that is not something I did, but to me, that's very justifiable because in her mind, if I do that for 3 years and I'm right, I never have to wonder if I'm going to be away from my kids again. And her feeling was when they're really young, I can do it. And when they're teens, I can't. I thought that is a decision and it is one we are making. We are empowered to make it and we do. And the other thing I would say is I talked to on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, wonderful woman who is, and she was sort of asking me for a gut check if this made sense. But she said, okay, Mike, I want to be home with my kids now. So I'm going to build this business and I'm just going to keep my brand out. I'm going to build expertise and I'm going to keep relevant and I'm going to do it in a really small way. And when these kids get a little bit older, I will have the springboard to really blow this business out of the water. And I won't have to do it from a zero starting point. I think both those are like super beautiful decisions that very thoughtful moms made.
Talk about the 5 power moves and how that can be a framework to help mom entrepreneurs create a foundation, create a business that serves them and the life that they want to live.
Yes. So, I'll go through all 5 and I'm going to start with saying everything you're doing, just think about what an exit would look like. Somehow we as women, we don't think about exits. And if you have a product business, a lot of times people see an exit, right? Services businesses, there are more services businesses in the world and they sell more. Now, they may not sell for more. That's a different discussion, but they do sell more. Expertise-driven businesses, if scaled correctly, sell more. So don't lose that thought. So 5 power moves. Okay, these are in the book, but if you cannot wait, you're going to go on www.femailemavericks.com. You're going to read newsletters and they're all in there and it's all free content on our website. The first is what we've already talked about, which is that you should build a business for profit, not passion. So you do that TAM work, then you do your personal and financial non-negotiables, and then you sit back and you make sure, that this is a business that if you got 1% of the addressable market, 1% would be over 7 figures. That's your green button to go. And if you're not there, please don't go. Keep tweaking, right? Because if you have a business that ultimately can't grow or is in an industry that's contracting, and the only way I think you make money in an industry that's contracting is you consolidate. So you better have a bunch of cash to do that, which most moms don't. So you're going to think about those things when you start. It's not. So the second is you got to get comfortable with this minimum viable product. And along with that, you have to open your heart and your brain and your ego to all the feedback you get on what needs to be done. I tell the story that the first product that our minimum viable product and what ultimately pages 1 and 2, they were really, really brilliant. And I sent them right to the board. Us as perfectionist women, the art of the micro pivot and the macro pivot and really creating your financial dashboard. And for us, it was our sales dashboard that we didn't have that caused us so many problems. And so that is to make sure that you have this dashboard in front of you of what you've decided is really important to measure. And then you're actually looking at it and you're making a decision on a weekly basis. Everything's either going okay or let's try a couple micro pivots, or Jesus, this is week 11 of absolute madness. It's time for a macro pivot. And there's some really good stuff in the book and also in the newsletters about how to diagnose it and then what to do. So always be ready to pivot. The fourth is about scaling, and it's got a really good small blueprint for scaling. But the number one thing is mindset, which is if you still think you're the only person that can do everything, and if you still have to have your hand in everything, don't you dare scale because it'll be wildly unsuccessful. And we talk very much like Victoria has this great riff where we were like 40 people and she was doing the financial projections by herself at 3 in the morning. I mean, she couldn't let that go. And I was like, you don't even know like financial forecasting. Like you admit that you don't. We have more than enough money to hire someone to help. And she talks about like how hard that was for her. I mean, for me, I love to sell, but I'm very thoughtful in how I sell. So I do a lot of research. I want my hand in all the research. And it took me forever to be like, okay, I can unhand that and someone can just hand me it and I could read it. So that's the fourth. And the fifth is on start with the exit in mind. Build it to get bought out. You may never do it. You love it so much. You want to leave it to your kids. Oh, that's fine. If that's your worst case scenario, you are still building a company with enterprise value, and enterprise value gets you loans and it gets you investors and all these great things. Don't build a business that not only could you not visualize selling it, but you can't find examples in the marketplace where women have sold them. And nobody sees how many services companies like ours sell on an annual basis. They do. And even Cody Sanchez did something on services businesses selling and how she would buy those in the middle market. So that's the fifth one. You may read through it and you're stuck at number 2 because you're dealing with your minimum viable product. Great. You can stay stuck there for 2 years till you figure it out before you go on to 3. But I do think the overview of the power moves gives you from build to exit. And so it gives you a perspective on the business you probably need. And again, we couldn't find that information. We didn't see a lot of women specifically were talking about it. And so we thought, let's just give them a framework that's very specific to building, scaling, but also there is no such thing as balance. But also there's enough in there that says when we took a break, when we took a pivot, when we felt like we really messed up with a kid and how we tried to make up for it.
Talk about how moms can have this vision or this dream for the business that they want to build, but to grow it at their own pace and in their own time and in their own way, as opposed to trying to do what everybody else is doing and constantly having their foot on the gas and not realizing or respecting the season that they're in.
I appreciate that. I feel like on the social conversation seems to be how I made $52 million yesterday with a creator post. And I just look at some of those and I think, man, building a business, it's great. It's rewarding. It takes a lot of time. So women, I have one thing because I do it every day and I just did it before you and I started to talk. We are dreamers, right? We visualize things and we think, God, wouldn't it be amazing if? And honestly, that's our superpower, is that we continue dreams even when they're difficult. Okay. So you are a mompreneur or you're aspiring, you have a dream. You have a vision. I want to replace my corporate salary. I want to get my candles out to the world, whatever that is. That's great. Write that down in your journal every day, just like I do. I literally write every day, 10,000 women, 7-figure businesses. Like, that's my dream. I don't know how the hell I'll get there, but I will. Now, that is a intimidating as hell dream. I don't even know how to do that or how to measure it. So I write down my one hard thing a day that's going to get me one more step closer to that. And today's very hard thing is I have convinced, right before I got on the phone with you, I convinced a really wonderful woman to barter with me. She is brilliant in book PR. I'm pretty good at startup. She's doing a startup. I need book PR. I called her. I was like, Anne Marie, how about we barter for 3 months? So that was my one hard thing. So that's what I'm working on. But what I would say to everyone is that don't let that dream go, but make it real. And you can write a 50-page execution document. You can write down, a 100 to-dos this day. And then you look at them and you get intimidated. And then you go get a cup of coffee and you think about something else because it's so intimidating to see this huge list of maybe stuff you could do. Pick like the one thing and for me, I picked that one thing because I thought I'm at a standstill of what I can do in the PR world. It's not my world as it relates to branding. And if I could get over that, that would get me further. And so that's why I made the difficult call. The woman made it much, much easier. So my point is, you've got the dream. You probably even have a brilliant execution plan and a huge to-do list. Great. Now look at your to-do list. What on there would change the trajectory, would get you a giant step versus a baby step? Circle it, write it down on your daily journal, and do it. And if that's all you do that day, great. You've had a great day. Stop trying to do more. Don't do two because you got the first one done really quickly. This is a whole mindset game. Do one hard thing. I guarantee if you do one hard thing every day for 3 months, I make my kids do this all the time. Now compare where you are today with where you were 3 months ago. It'll blow you away. So that's not only my one advice. Like Victoria and I do that every day. My kids are so sick of hearing one hard thing a day. Every entrepreneur I mentor, before we start talking, I go, what was your hard thing? Oh, you haven't done it? Do you want to get off the phone and you can call me when you're done with it? So I really live by it. I really believe in it.
I love that you mentioned doing the one hard thing a day to get where you want to be, because so many of us are just seeing people on social media where we want to be, and we're just seeing the end product and not hearing about what we actually need to do to get there.
I like what you just said too. I think it's super important, Angela. Like, we look at the end product, and that's great. We can dream about that end product. We want to be that. They didn't start yesterday and get there today.
Well, tell listeners where they can connect with you and learn more about your upcoming book and all of your other resources.
Okay, one of three things. Go on to www.femailemavericks.com. Everything's on there. All the content's on there with no paywall, and you can subscribe so you can get in your inbox. And on that same website, you will see a link to pre-order the book, which is not coming out till September, but we love it. Pre-order. And also, if you are an eager beaver and you like to read and you would like to get an advanced copy with the promise of a review, put yourself on that list as well. And then if you're in carpool waiting for your kid and you've got 5 seconds, go on to Instagram at Female Mavericks, and you'll see really cute pictures of our kids and a lot more Victoria than me, which is all the better. And also on our LinkedIn, under our names and under Female Mavericks.
Thank you so much, Beth, for joining me and sharing with my audience your work and having this very important conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It was great to get to know you.